All right, everyone. Um, this lecture is going to introduce to you um, the database um, in general, and then technique that you can use to store data in a database. And for that, we are going to build a iPhone app, iPhone, and many other Android phone have internal database system, which is called SQLite 3. But actually, SQLite 3 is not a typical database engine, but it is a library that you can use to simulate database functionalities. Database is very huge collection of the database packages, but SQLite 3 is a minimum subset. All right. Um, to understand this, um, you need to use how to create a database and therefore create tables within a database. So it can be used a keyword called create and table, followed by a database name, which has parentheses within it. You have attribute name and type. All right. Once you create a table, then you can populate data. This is something that you can also use. We can do that on our iPhone. Once you create a database, then let's say database name is test.db, then there is a command called SQLite 3. So you type SQLite 3 within within a terminal. So for example, all right, command and space bar, and then here you put terminal. Then this is the terminal. Here you can start SQLite 3 followed by database name if that database is here, but you can just simply test whether SQLite 3 prompt is available, okay? If you want to get some help that you can use within this prompt command, these are all the prompt command that you can use, okay? So to quit from your SQLite command line, then you can simply do dot quit. All right. So that type of things can be found here, and then there is an insert statements. So you can use insert into followed by database name, and then there is another keyword called the values. Within parentheses, you can put your specific value. In order to all right, here in your iPhone apps development, XCode Swift needs somehow opaque pointer that is needed. Okay, so we'll take a look at that. And here, table creation on iPhone. First thing that you need to do is to open database. Okay, so before you do that, you have to use file manager to specify a particular location. The location that we want to save our SQLite is within the device, right? So it should be documentation directory in the user domain mask, and then you can specify a database name. Okay, so extension could be .SQLite or .db, whichever convenient to you. After that, you have to open that database. So db file .path. db file is the database that you created in the previous. Here, db file is that. Okay, let db file equal file manager. So that db file has a specific path, although we didn't specify the path, but by default, that is the path associated with iPhone device. So you will see what I meant, okay? And we open it. Because this command is not just a command within that language virtual machine, but it should talk to the external. So there could be some unknown exceptions to be happened. So that you have to make sure that if that SQL state is okay. If it is not okay, then you can print error message. Otherwise, we keep going. And then we define the statements. Okay. So table creation statements, and that should be executed within DB. DB is opaque pointer. What opaque pointer can do is that there's no database exist, but we create a pointer first, and then create it, and then only that database is used when it comes to this command. So with the table creation expression to be executed within that database. All right. And then we also create another opaque pointer, which is the SQL statement. Okay. So that statement is for the insertion, or it could be your query statements. So insert into that user. This is just statements, but as you can see here, values are not really hard-coded value, but values needs to be read from user input. All right, so that we have to bind those values. So SQLite underscore bind underscore text if it is a text type, or if it is integer type, we can do SQLite3 underscore bind underscore int. All right, so those things needs to be this. Instead of hard-coded, we put here a question mark. This question mark can be bound when it comes to user data. Okay. Of course, this insertion statements needs to be associated with, should be executed with. It's not yet executed because there's no values. So we prepare this insert Q statements to that database through these statements, opaque pointer statements. And then finally, we need to execute that statement using SQLite underscore step. All right. So up to this point, then it is done. After this, I think this is for the selection. Select a star from uh, the table. Very similar to the other. Uh, here, we need to prepare SQL query to the database through this statements pointer, and um, if, of course, if you have your where statements, then you need to bind where name equals question, and then that question needs to be bound, right? All right. So basically, that it is, and then uh, we'll work on uh, SQLite. Okay. So I'm going to oops, this. What I'm going to do is that you need to go back to your app that we started to develop and stopped at some points. We're going to reopen it. Then there is a folder of that. If you unfold it, then there is a Xcode project file. The others are the folder. This folder has all the source code, some Swift code. All right. So open this. In that way, you can get the work that you started last time. Okay. Let me see. Let's try what we have done so far. Okay. So if I remember correctly, if you put your name and sign in, then okay, mine comes up and loan amount, right? If I say $30,000 apply, then I request $30,000. Current available is 8,000. Therefore, it should be declined, right? So let's see the decision here declined. All right. So that's what we have done last time. All right. So now we will do. Okay. We'll do a little more to the database. So I'm going to create another button here. And I'll call it database. And font I'm going to increase a little bit bigger. And background, I would do my database, let's say black. Okay, that's fine, right? It's good. Then I'm going to, this should go to another view controller. So I'm going to bring the view controller here. All right. So that view controller is activated if this button is clicked. So I believe before we do, we have to create let's see, I think it should work. Let's try. Holding down control button and then drag and drop and then show. Then we have a segue. So click this segue and bring this inspector, and then we put here identifier so that we have segue db. Okay, and enter. So that is created. And then we need to create a Swift file. So click on that folder, holding down Control key, and then there is a new file. Click on it, Swift file, and next. And file name, I would say database. Okay, so create database, create view controller, VC, create, and then you need to import UI kit, and then class, then you have to say database this. Okay, so you have to say database create VC colon and UI view controller should be inherited, and then override usually it is called say DID. I'm sorry, it should be view did load. There's a function and superclass super and then dot, then you will have this function. This function is overridden when it is inherited. All right, so we are ready here. All right, now go back to that storyboard and here in this case all right, so when this is clicked, all right, then okay, then it goes here, then here we need to another button created, and this button says here create a database. Create a database. There's a button. Okay. All right. And then this guy does not have yet class bound. So then we need to click this and then create a database create a view controller. Okay, so that is the view controller. That's a Swift code for this. Okay, see if we bring this on top, then we see the Swift class. And here I want to bring up assistant editor of that database creation view. If you don't see it, then click this recent files, then here database create view control .swift. So that is that. All right. So I'm going to click this. Okay. Holding down Control button and drag and drop here, and then that should be action, and then name is button create table. We need to create all the way to the table. Create a database, right? Anyway, that is our database. Okay. Action, okay, that's fine. All right, sometimes this happens, right? So I think we better close this and then bring it back. I do not know why, but it happens sometimes. So here. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. This is action, and then button db create connect. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that one only. This not necessarily needed, but I'm going to tell you this sometimes works. Okay, sometimes this is okay for the same name. One as a function, the other one just a variable. Using this, you can do something else. I'll let you know a little bit later. That is very fancy. What we need to do is that we need to create database, right? So first we have to do here outside variable db opaque pointer. Okay, create it. That comes with that also. This is a function, and we have to do select db location equals try. Then you can do file manager dot default dot URL. We have 4 kinds of URLs. So we're going to use, I believe, the first one. Okay, file manager For that, we need to do a default dot document directory, documentation directory in another default and user domain mask. Okay. Let me see. Let's click something else. URL. 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 This is plural URL for, let me see what it is. Okay. So dot documentation directory. Here dot user domain mask and operate for the URL nil creation. What it means is that when there is no file existed, then we need to create it. True or false? Yes, why not? True. True. Okay. So file location is defined. Then we need to open the file, database file. SQLite 3, open. All right. So right now we do not have, we have to make sure that we have to import SQLite 3. That is the reason when we tried here SQLite 3 underscore open, we do not have anything, but now we see, right? So click that. File name here, dblock, right? dblock, that is the file name. And then don't forget to put here path, okay? And then unsafe mutual pointer, OPEC pointer. Do we have any DB OPEC pointer? Yes, we have it here, right? So we have DB. That OPEC pointer, this is a pointer. We use that pointer. So ampersand DB. And then this may create an error. If so, this whole system will have problem. So we need to make sure that if that statement's okay, which means if that statement is not okay, SQLite okay, then we can print some statements. Otherwise, we keep going. That's what it is. Okay. So we can say here error on database opening. Otherwise, keep going. Okay. And then we create a database creation, table creation statements. So TBL creation. Okay, TBL creation is the statements start with the create table, and then say, what should we do? User name text. So user has a first column name, second column say ID. You can call it integer, and second and third column maybe let's do only this. Okay, name and ID. You better put here say it is created if not exist. The reason for that is once you create, this program runs continually. From the second time, if you still try to create the same table name, then there is an error. So in order to avoid that issue, you better put here if not exist, only in that case create table, otherwise we use table already created. All right. After that, if SQLite 3 and then execute, and then here we do OPEC pointer, which is DB SQL statement, which is TBL creation, and then call back. If something happens, we need to call back. We don't need to worry about that. All say nil. Okay. Again here, if if it is not okay, then we print error message. Otherwise, we keep going. So error message here is that error on table creation. All right. Otherwise, we keep going. Okay. All right. So let's see if it runs. Let's put here to see if it is okay. Then we better put here table is okay. So some success messages. All right. So if you put here, if you click a database button, go to the next page and create database. Error on table creation. What happens? Undefined error. Error on database. Database opening creation. Okay. Develop path. Okay. This user domain mask is for new. That is true. Oh, here we didn't make here database, so we need to do here dot appending path components. So within that location, we need to put here database name. So let's say cyber.sqlite. All right. So let's retry. click on this database button, come back here, create a database. Table is successfully created. So we need to see what that means. Okay, so bring up your terminal. And what I need to do here is we need to go back to that definition. So in order to see that, you have to print let's see, print db lock dot path. Okay, remember that is this. This tells us the location. Okay, where's the expression? Okay, all right. So let's click to run the app. Create database button and create this button again. Successfully created. So we need to go back to the location of that database and see how it works. Reason I put here print db location path, you will be able to see it. So how can you get that? That's under your users and then Jyun, which is right now me, under users back and slash Jyun. And then we need to change the directory to library, developer, core simulator, devices. Let's change it all the way up to that. So cd library, and then develop, and then core simulator, and then devices. All right. So if we print working directory, then we comes all the way up here, device. And then we need to see ls. There are so many devices. So device that we want to, the emulator that we want is A244. So cd A244. We don't want to type all, so hit the tab button and make sure that that is this. That is it. And then we type data, and then type container, enters, and then we will have here another container. We have container. We have data and application. So cd data and application. All right, and we have so many applications. The application that we are going to work on is 8ABF. So we do not know where that is. Then cd 8ADF F. We need to spell more. D 640 dash CCEC. Oh, it's because here ABF. All right, so we have that. ls. What did we do? PWD, and that application. Oh, cd 8ABF. ls, we have here library, and then cd documentation ls. See here we have cyber.sqlite. Here, if you do SQLite 3 command followed by the specific database name, which is cyber, enter, and then if you say database, then that is database. If you say tables, then we have the table name users, right? If you want to see schema, then you can see the schema that we created. Remember the create table user name, that's what we did, right? somewhere here. The table name, and name and ID. That's what we have here, right?